Hey guys, I was recently on a podcast and I was asked some really fascinating questions around our journey towards becoming financially independent. So I thought I'm going to take those questions and actually turn it into a video today, but in an interesting format, okay? So let's cut straight to this new format. So Ken, you became financially independent at the age of 34. Can you tell me a bit about your life and your wife's journey and how you managed to transform your lives? All right, that's a good question. So our journey actually started over a decade ago. I think back to 2011, around then, when I was planning our wedding. Actually, I'd met my wife before that in 2009, and we had gone on a holiday, and we were planning our wedding. And we were in Zanzibar. We put together all our money and traveled, and we were on the beach, and obviously we're still dating in that kind of pre-marriage honeymoon style phase, and we were planning our lives, and what we came up with was our 10-year plan. We called it our 10-year plan because we kind of had some ideas what we wanted out of our lives, and a big part of that was we wanted to create a life of no worry about money. So like we wanted to own our own home, we wanted to be able to, have a family and stuff like that. And that's kind of how we started this journey. I started it together. That's why I started with talking about my journey with my wife. But before that, I'd moved to the UK, age 14, first-generation immigrant to this country, and started life here at ground zero with my family. And my wife, Mary, as I would learn her story later, was born in Hackney, born and bred in Hackney before Hackney became, what it is today. It was not the place that people would, it wasn't a desirable location, put it that way. But she was born to a low-income immigrant family herself. And when we met, we had a very similar mindset in that we wanted the same sort of goals. We wanted to become financially independent one day. Wanted to become mortgage-free, have a family, all these various things that have over time just played out by us focusing on that goal. All right, cool. So I loved hearing about your journey and like how you guys, where you've come from and stuff. Can you speak a bit about the FIRE movement? Like, I've heard about this FIRE movement thing. What is it about, and like how did it start and stuff? Yeah, so the FIRE movement, FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early, started in America. Most things tend to start in America. But anyway, that particular movement started in America. And it's a movement of people, mostly people in their kind of 30s and 20s, 30s, 40s, who are ultimately trying to become financially independent and retire early. Okay, but my focus really with my wife is mostly on the F.I.R.E. part, which is financial independence part, and we believe much more in creating the option of retiring early rather than just like retiring and doing nothing. We actually quite like working and doing sort of work we love, such as making YouTube videos or doing whatever we want, basically. All right, I hear you. So you focus mainly on financial independence and that option of early retirement. Can you talk to me a bit about your personal approach to financial independence? Like, how do you go about doing it? All right, so this is a really important question. So our approach to financial independence is different to everybody else's. It will be different to a lot of people's. And it will be similar to some people's approach. So our approach is we believe in lifestyle simplification. So that's really where it starts. It begins with lifestyle because, if you've got quite an expensive lifestyle, it'll be very, very hard for you to become financially free or to achieve financial independence. So we believe in trying to simplify the lifestyle. And that for us was a big thing. So, small things like, for a few years, we were spending only £50 per week on food, stuff like that. We drive a used car. We don't spend all our money on takeaways. We cook home-cooked food and stuff like that. Obviously, once in a while, we'll get a takeaway. But all those little bits add up to create a much simpler lifestyle. We don't acquire stuff. Like, we don't just fill our house with things. Although we have in the past, we've had to do a complete U-turn on that. So lifestyle simplification is the very beginning. And then tied to that is then other aspects. So for us, a big part of it is owning your own home and trying to pay that home off. This is not the path for everyone, but for us, it's been a really important path because it's helped us become mortgage-free in 7 years, own our own home outright. And what that's done is actually, it's not even just the freedom of owning your own home outright, it's that it massively reduces your monthly expenses. And then our other approach has been, in addition to trying to pay off our mortgage, to invest in other income generating assets. So putting money into other things that have the possibility of creating more income, as well as growing in capital. So things such as investing in stocks, investing in tracker funds, index funds, ETFs, and so on, investing in other property units, investing in other businesses, like we co-own a nursery business, and things like that, and other forms of assets. Basically anything that basically generates you an income then gives you that optionality, because over time that income will exceed your much lower cost of living. And in addition to all that, we focused a lot on really trying to up our skill sets, like become massive learners over time. I went from being a trainee accountant to becoming a senior finance professional, a chief financial officer. In the same way, my wife also did the same, becoming very skilled in business, running her own business and things like that. So over time, our skills have improved. Obviously, tied to skills improving is income also improving. And tied to all of those is mindsets improving over time. The sort of people you hang around with truly do matter. The sort of books you read and things like that you read on an ongoing basis do matter. So if I had to summarize it all our approach is focused on developing your skill set over time, improving your mindset over time, and having an effective tool set, a framework that you're following to become financially independent. Do you know what? I loved hearing about your story, and the more I think about it, the more I think to myself, there will be people out there asking themselves, like, why aim for financial independence and why actually do it? This is a big topic, man. Money is a big topic, and a lot of people right now are living paycheck to paycheck, right? You can just carry on living paycheck to paycheck, and for a lot of people, that's a norm. In fact, a lot of people don't actually know that financial independence is a possibility for them, like it's an option that exists on the money journey. So for me, when I hear that question, why become financially independent? I think for me, it's about designing a life that truly works for you. Like, you don't have to do life like everybody else. You don't have to work till you're 65 or 75 or whatever and not have the option to do life how you might want to do it, to do something else. So I think financial independence helps you then create a different pathway, a different life. And it's actually generational. Like, financial independence helps you actually create generational wealth, which for me, as someone who is, a Nigerian, who's grown up here in the UK and adopted the culture, kind of grown into the culture here in the UK, and being a part of the Black community in the UK is a big thing, generational wealth. So I think for various groups of people, whether you face different forms of inequalities over time, I think financial independence has the power to lift up a lot of communities, whether it's the immigrant community, whether it's like women who have had various forms of challenges in the form of inequalities over time, whether it's people in the Black community, in any community really, provided you understand the power that getting your money right has. Financial independence has the power to truly change people's lives financially, and it's changed ours, which is something that my wife and I are doing everything we can to help other people embrace and actually see it as something that is reachable for them, because it differs for everybody depending on what your lifestyle actually looks like. Okay, that's really, really interesting. I loved hearing that perspective on like why people should think about this and take it seriously. I'm thinking a lot about it myself, because like I just love the vibes I'm getting from you. But like, talk to me about this F.I.R.E number. If I had to calculate my F.I.R.E number, my freedom number, like how do I go about calculating it? Calculating your F.I.R.E number, there are different ways of looking at it. So you become financially independent when income from your assets exceed your monthly living expenses, basically. So your expenses is the key driver of like what your F.I.R.E number is. Another way of looking at it is to do some simple maths using something known as the 4% rule, although that rule I'll explain a bit more in a minute. But the 4% rule essentially says take your monthly expenses, multiply that by try and annualize it, multiply it by 12, and then divide it by 4%. That gives you some ideas. So for example, if you spend £2,000 a month, multiplied by 12 is 24k, divided by 4% is 600k. But that's like the least you kind of need, accessible funds that you need, as it were, from a retirement perspective. But that number, that 4% rule, has gone through quite a lot of challenges, a lot of questioning and so on. So we'd say anything between 3% and 4% is a good number, a good proxy to use. But The better definition really is, or the much more reliable definition is where the income coming from your assets actually exceeds, your monthly ongoing living expenses, which is why I keep coming back to lifestyle. The more you simplify your lifestyle, the much easier it becomes for you to become financially free one day. All right, so speak to me about like how you felt. Like, I want to know the feeling you got when you became financially independent. Like, what exactly happened? Listen, right, I'm going to say this, right, we felt absolutely fantastic. And the reason we felt that way, and it became more apparent over time how powerful this was that it wrote us an option. Yeah. So for example, today, I do what I do, when I do it, with whom I want to do it. I create videos, I write blog posts, I do interviews, I do talks, I do whatever I want to do basically. But that optionality to do that, to kind of leave my corporate job and do what I do today, was only possible because we were financially independent. Same with my wife as well. Kind of leaving what she was doing previously, working in childcare and so on, and running a business. I'm running a business in that sphere to focus on doing something else whilst handing over the reins to somebody else. Again, it was only possible because we were at a particular place on our money journey. We were financially independent. Now, obviously, you don't have to quit your job or anything like that when you become financially independent. This is why this journey is exciting. Just that optionality gives you that possibility to do with your time what you want to do with it, which I think is what makes it really exciting. But going back to how we felt, I think one of the most notable bits of the journey towards becoming financially independent for us, one of the most tangible things for us was paying off our mortgage, because a house is a very emotional thing. Realizing that you own your own home outright in your 30s, in our case, is actually a big deal because, not a lot of people in my community, people who've come from, who are immigrants to the country, or, people from the Black community, not many people in their youth actually own their own home outright. So for us, that's actually a pretty big deal to have done that. And we hope that continues to, my wife and I hope that continues to inspire more people on this journey towards them one day actually owning their own home outright and living a much more financially free life. So you've spoken a bit about becoming mortgage free. How did you become mortgage free? That is a ridiculous thing to have achieved in your 30s. Like, how did you actually do it? Becoming mortgage free actually begins by you making it a goal for your life. Yeah. So you will not become mortgage free quicker if it's not a goal you're actively seeking. Yeah. So when we were trying to achieve this goal, we didn't really know it will happen in 7 years. First of all, we were just like, you know what? We've currently got a 25-year mortgage. We're going to try and do it a bit sooner, pay it off a bit quicker. So we tried to do it in about 22 years initially. Then we were overpaying more. So overpayments was a big thing. It was one of the big drivers for helping us get there. Then we carried on overpaying, changed the years on the mortgage to 20 years. Then it became 15 years. Then it became nearer 10 years and so on. But the key tips were that we overpaid. So we relied a lot on one income and used the other income to invest. And that investing was either into our own home or investing into the stock market. And so overpaying is a key driver. Another key tip is actually remortgaging to a lower rate if you can. So if you are, say, on a standard variable rate, trying to remortgage to a lower rate is absolutely key because that will help you to actually pay less each month. Therefore, meaning that if you overpay, it has even more power, actually much more power for reducing the capital element of your debt. Then the final tip is actually trying to get better mortgage products. So a mortgage product that doesn't have a 10% early repayment charge is great because then you can overpay more than 10%, which is something a lot of people always say, oh, how did you overpay more than 10%? There are actually quite a few products out there that allow you to do that. You just need to find them using a mortgage broker or something like that. All right, let's get a bit more philosophical now. Like, what does money actually mean to you? Like, is everything about money? Or does money mean something else to you personally? What does money mean to me? Money is an interesting topic because money can be good, can be used for good and be used for bad as well. So for us, and when I say me, I'm referring to me and my wife. Money is a means for us to create a life that truly works for us, the sort of lifestyle we want. but it's also a means for us to help other people out, to be more generous, to participate in more community-led things and things that we are actually much more passionate about. But money is not the most important thing. I want to make that super clear. So even though like I talk about money a lot, it's actually not the most important thing. There are things that are far way more important, like your health is way more important than money. Your relationships are way more important than money. So, your family are way more important than money. So, but money helps to enhance all those areas that are, more important, so like your health. You have much better health if you're able to eat good quality food, for example, or if you're able to pay for healthcare and stuff like that. You have better quality relationships if you're actually able to, use money, not that you're trying to flaunt money or anything like that, which is actually a really bad idea. But if you're able to have better experiences with people you love, your families, your friends, and people like that, it just helps to enhance the quality of your relationship, the quality of your marriage, if you're someone who's, in that sort of setup, or, the quality of your life more generally is just improved because of money. All right, so I've been checking out your Instagram, I've been on your newsletter, like you talk about living your best life, creating a life of financial joy and all that. Like, what does it actually mean to live your best life? to live your best life, what does that mean? I think for me, it's a combination of fun and purpose. So I believe a lot in living a purpose-driven life. That means, essentially, that without it sounding like too much of a big word, that really means that you're living the life that you want to live. Like, it's actually a life that you have designed for yourself and you're pursuing. Yeah. You're choosing what you do with your time. That's like a purpose-driven life. And you're choosing what you're spending that time on, the quality things you want to spend that time on. Whether it's having fun, whether it's making good memories, whether it's traveling, whether it's, serving somewhere, whether it's volunteering, whatever it is you want to do with your time, provided it's being driven out of you, out of some design, then it's purpose-driven. And in our world, we refer to that as, all of that cumulatively, we refer to as living a life of financial joy. So money should not just be a thing we look at from a place of fear or stress or worry. We ultimately want to help people get to a place where money is much more about purpose and much more about joy. You want to feel good when you think about money. You want to feel, look at money from a healthy perspective, from a really good perspective compared to kind of looking at money from a scarcity and fear perspective. So a lot of people are watching this right now and they're probably thinking to themselves, yeah, good for you, Ken. You and your wife have become financially independent and you're living a good life and having fun and all that. But how do I get to where you are? Like, how does someone get to where you are right now? Give us some ideas and some things that we can begin to do today. I think this is a really, really powerful question because I think the very beginning of becoming financially independent is having a vision for the kind of life you want. Because the worst thing I think you can do with your life is just live your life according to how everybody else lives life. However, having a vision just means that like you have some idea how you want your life to play out, and you feel like you're much more in the driving seat of your life. And that means that you're not trying to be popular. You're trying to just be yourself, so that vision is actually important. The next one is one that you might have thought of, but like it's believing that the future ahead of you is bright and that you have a place in that future. And this is a powerful one because a lot of people actually don't think a lot about the future. They think a lot about today only. And I get that, today's all we've got. However, I think there's a lot of power in thinking about the future and actually, and that's connected to that point I made about vision, actually thinking, well, actually, what could my future look like? And given I'm going to be in that future, right, what do I need to start to do today in order to arrive at that future that I actually want? The next one is lifestyle simplification. I touched on this earlier, but actually simplifying your lifestyle is powerful because first of all, it means that you may not need to work for another 10 years. Basically, you've subscribed to a much simpler lifestyle. And that's powerful because it means that in order for your income, the income coming from, maybe your assets and things to exceed your monthly expenses, if your monthly expenses are lower, then you're much more likely to be able to get there a lot quicker. And I'd say the next one is to be more daring and take risks, right? So I've met people who have said things like, Ken, like in my 20s and in my early 30s, I wasn't that much daring. My life was kind of like just meh, and I was just cruising along in cruise control. I think it's very important, like, to really ask yourself, if you are being a bit more daring, like, what could your life look like if you are more daring financially, if you are making bolder moves, if you are taking risks, calculated risks that you've actually thought about. What could your life actually look like? So here I'm talking about things like, whether it's like you're starting a business, or you've got an idea for something and you're not just sitting on it, but you're actually getting things done, you're actually taking action. I'm talking about things like actually investing your money, making bold moves like trying to buy property based on a particular business case, just various things like that, pushing yourself essentially outside your comfort zone. All right, so this next one is one that everyone can relate to, but it's working hard, but also smartly. What do I mean exactly? So working smartly essentially means that you are intentional about what you spend your time on. You're not just spending time sporadically on anything that comes up. But you're very intentional about what opportunities you are pursuing. That's smart thinking. But working hard is then saying, well, actually, I've identified those interesting things that I've pointed out as things I want to focus my attention on, but I now want to put the time into getting it done. Or I now want to think about other ways I can get the thing done, still achieve my outcome, but without putting so much more time input into it. The next one's faith. And I think this is an interesting one because not a lot of people actually think, believe in things that they can't see. Yeah. So I'm a massive believer in not yet seeing things, physically, like I can touch it, not yet seeing it physically, but believing that I will get there. Wow. So faith is that's big, is that belief in things you haven't seen, whilst also taking the steps gradually, taking the action to actually get there one day. And the next one's to invest. Like, you can't become financially free without having a kind of like an ROI mindset, a return on investment mindset. You've got to become that person who says, if I've got £100 and I put it into something, what's going to be my return? If I've got £1,000 and I put it into something, what's my expected return? I think that mindset helps us so much, not just from a typical traditional investing perspective of investing, say, in the stock market, but investing in various things. Like, say you're putting money into starting a side hustle, like, what is your ROI? Like, what do you expect? Or let's say you're paying a coach to help you achieve a particular result. Like, what is your ROI? What do you expect from that? So I think that ROI mindset is really powerful for helping people really just shift from just thinking very ordinary to become that person who maybe in the next 5 years or to 10 years, or even quicker than that, becomes financially free eventually. And then the final 2 points I want to share is to keep learning. So one of the most powerful elements of my journey has been about personal development. My wife and I have always been about learning, whether it's that we're learning from other people, whether it's that we're in groups where we're being challenged by people's thoughts and ideas, or whether it's that we're reading books, courses, anything like that. Anything that means that we are expanding our imagination is pretty powerful. And the final one I'd say is doing things together. So here I'm speaking to people who are either in like a relationship and things like that. And I know it can be quite hard being in a relationship and trying to create a particular lifestyle for yourself. But I think togetherness is key. Together you win. So if you're in a relationship right now, try and like subscribe to the idea of really dreaming together with your partner, aiming for goals together with your partner. Don't just try and go it alone, and don't try and fight each other. There's no point butting heads. Try and come together because you will become much more wealthy over time by doing things together than trying to kind of separate and do things on your own. And I know this from real life experiences. I've seen my parents. I've learned this from my parents. So this is not just like me just coming up with some random idea. This is actually born out of reality. So if I had to summarize all those things I just said on what people can do today to kind of get to, if you wanted to get to kind of, where we are, becoming financially independent and all that, I'd say it boils down to three broad things about mindset, developing, a much more growth and abundance-led mindset. It's about skill set, becoming much more developed in your abilities over time, acquiring new lucrative skills over time. And it's about having a tool set, having a framework that's driving your life, a vision for your life, such that you're not just living an ordinary life or doing what everybody else does, but you are working according to a plan for your life. All right, cool. So you become financially independent. Like, what's next for you? Like, for a lot of people, this is like their main goal. What is the next thing for you in your life right now? All right, so what's next? So this is an interesting one. Number one is just travel and fun. So we've been doing this thing where we take a month off to travel. We're actually starting on Monday. Today's Thursday. We're going to be out traveling to 3 different countries. It's always been a dream of ours. Started it last year. And so cannot wait. So travel is a big thing for us. It's a big part of what financial joy means to us. Okay. The second is our big commitment to helping 10,000 people to become financially independent this decade. So my wife and I, Mary and I, this goal is a pretty daring one for us, and we've built our platform, Financial Joy Academy. It's a big driver for helping to achieve that, as well as obviously our main brand, The Humble Penny. But essentially, our goal that is a big focus for us is how do we improve what we're doing such that people get the results that they need in order to achieve financial independence. So as families, as individuals, are able to achieve that goal a lot faster than they might just by themselves. Next is we are excited to hopefully be doing a TV show, which is all about helping people to become debt-free. So we'll see how that goes, and watch this space, because that might develop a lot quicker than we expect. And you might see us on national TV sooner rather than later. And we're also starting to do a lot more work with companies. We're working with corporates, trying to help employees directly. So, all this is driven out of our core thing of helping people create financial joy in their lives. And when you break that down, what financial joy actually means, it leads into such areas as financial well-being and things like that, wellness more generally. So a big focus of ours is actually working with various companies. We've worked with all kinds of companies, whether it's Google, YouTube, Ogilvy, and Imperial College, Cambridge University. These are all companies, organizations we've worked with, doing all kinds of workshops and things. That is actually a big focus for us at the moment. And then finally, a big thing we're actually working on is helping people become more entrepreneurial. We created something called the Architects Program, which is a program that helps people take their current knowledge and expertise and turn it into a membership business that makes them money on a monthly basis. So that's another thing we're also focusing on. Yeah, cool, man. Really enjoyed chatting and listening to what you've got to share, man. Love it. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed that. That was a different take to what you might expect usually on our channel, but I really enjoyed doing this Q&A format. If you've got any other questions related to this, please feel free to jump in the comments and let me know. If you really enjoyed today's video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, because that really helps us on our journey of growing our channel and having even more impact by reaching so many more people. All right, people. Much love from us, from Mary and I. And as always, guys, in all things, be thankful and seek joy. All right, take care and speak soon. Bye for now.